Tonight on CTV News at 6. Sounding the alarm on hallway health care.
We are talking like close to 2,000 Ontarians that are sick enough to be admitted into a hospital that will end up in a hallway, in a TV room, in a bathroom, in anywhere but a hospital room.
Shifting health reporting standards and why critics are concerned. Plus, keeping the taps running.
I feel like I won the lottery, and Mattawa should feel that way too.
The province pours $17 million into water infrastructure in the Nipissing area. And a new front line in the fight against addiction.
Once someone is stable in their own home, a lot of other things fall into place. They find their way in recovery.
6 agencies come together to share details of Sudbury's new Heart Hub.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Rima and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Tony is off. A 48-year-old man was arrested last night after brandishing what looked like a grenade at 2 Sudbury businesses. Police say they were called to a shop on LaSalle Boulevard around 5 p.m. on reports of a man threatening to detonate a grenade after staff say they caught him stealing clothing. Just after 8:30 p.m., the same man stole a bottle of alcohol, placing the grenade on the counter to threaten staff. Police were given detailed descriptions of the suspect and were able to arrest him shortly after. The explosive disposal unit confirmed the grenade was fake. The 48-year-old faces robbery and weapons-related charges. A man and a woman are facing multiple charges after a daytime robbery in North Bay. Police were called to a retailer on Josephine Street for reports the pair had stolen several items and threatened staff. Officers found the suspects at a residence on Oakwood Avenue where a search warrant was executed and the pair were arrested. The 35-year-old man was also wanted on 4 counts of theft under $5,000. He and the 32-year-old woman now face multiple charges. 2 NDP MPPs held a press conference at Queen's Park today. They were addressing the worsening hospital crisis, including hallway health care, mounting hospital debt, and plans to stop publicly reporting key patient safety data. CTV's Lindsay Alick reports.
One of the key performance indicators being retired from Ontario Health's annual reports is the number of patients being treated in unconventional spaces.
The government has to be honest, keep track of those. We are talking like close to 2,000 Ontarians that are sick enough to be admitted into a hospital that will end up in a hallway, in a TV room, in a bathroom, in anywhere but a hospital room.
Officials with the Ministry of Health sent CTV News a statement which says in part, in place of these indicators, Ontario Health has introduced 21 newer, more targeted indicators that will continue to produce the same and in fact more granular information to the ministry.
We identify those on a day-to-day basis still within all of our bed reports and in our internal reports. We have probably about 70 patients on a day-to-day basis that are what we would classify in unconventional bed spaces. That's why we've been working with the Ministry of Health in terms of getting our capital project to move forward.
Helena adds that the government does not pay for those beds or the staff that care for those patients, which is leaving 50% of Ontario hospitals facing a deficit budget.
They have to balance their budget, even if that means cutting programs, laying off staff when you have a full house. So they have started to turn to bank loan. And now we're finding out that it is millions of dollars that hospitals are paying in interest charges to the bank just in order to make payrolls.
She says hospitals are looking for a 4% budget increase, but that the government is offering 0.7%.
All of this could be acted upon right here, right now. I mean, we give the example, $2.2 billion for a spa at Ontario Place that nobody wants. That $2.2 billion, instantly the crisis would go away.
McNeil adds there isn't a simple solution to end hallway healthcare, but that all aspects of the healthcare system need to be strengthened to be part of the solution. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
A new poll suggests Canadians feel the healthcare system has deteriorated over the last decade as they increasingly struggle to access family doctors and see specialists. The Angus Reid survey compares the results of more than 4,000 respondents from this year to a survey it conducted in 2015. The latest results say half of respondents reported either not having a family doctor or struggling to see the one they do have. That marks a 25% increase in difficulty accessing a family doctor since 2015. A significant occasion took place at the Sault's Algoma Steel today, with a goal to keep workers employed while protecting Canadian sovereignty. CTV's Corey Nordstrom was on hand to see the first steel rolled for the new line of Canadian icebreakers in the Arctic.
It starts as this red-hot steel plate, which will eventually become this, Canada's newest icebreakers, the Polar Max. This peek inside the Sault's Algoma Steel marks the first steel that will go into that project, with attendance for the tour including government officials and representatives from Davie Shipbuilding, the Quebec-based company in charge of the vessels for the Canadian Coast Guard. Reporters on hand were not permitted questions during the event, though officials did make statements.
We say like a lot that shipbuilding is important, but there's no ships without steel. And what we will be building starts here.
Two magnificent Canadian companies partnering together, one in Ontario, one in Quebec. I don't think there's a better story that could be created.
A total of 600 net tons of metal plate will be sent from the Sault steelmaker to Davie for the icebreakers. Algoma Steel officials noted the significant investment in the company from upper levels of government last fall, allowing Algoma to diversify what it offers.
This transformation and investments in Canada's only discrete plate mill will position Algoma well in the domestic market as the supplier of Canadian infrastructure, mining, defense, and construction projects.
There's a renewed positivity in the plate mill, and we're doing a lot of things that we're not used to doing. So we just trialed and we were successful in rolling 3/16, which is the lightest we've ever rolled.
To counter unjust tariffs on our most critical local product, government action is required. Simply put, the Canadian steel industry to survive needs support from both levels of government and needs Algoma to thrive. The Polar Max project is a clear example of this.
Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
Rio Tinto has announced it is no longer considering making a bid for Glencore, a merger that would have created the largest mining company in the world. The combined company would have had a value of more than $260 billion US. But Glencore said Thursday the companies were unable to agree to terms. In particular, Glencore says Rio Tinto wanted its chairman and CEO to remain in their roles after their merger. As a result, Glencore says it was in the best interest of shareholders not to proceed. Rio Tinto, the world's biggest iron ore miner, has a market capitalization of about $142 billion US, while Glencore is valued at $65 billion US. Despite the merger not moving forward, Glencore said it was well positioned as a standalone company. Meanwhile, Glencore has been fined $120,000 after a worker was critically injured at the Nickel Rim South mine in October 2023. The Ministry of Labour says the crew was using a scissor truck with a missing safety pin and working over uncleared ground. Despite the damaged railing and uneven terrain, work continued until a worker fell from the vehicle. Glencore pleaded guilty to failing to take reasonable safety precautions. There could be an end to the strike at Laurentian University. After 2 days of mediation, the Laurentian University Faculty Association will present an offer to its members to vote on. LUFA President Fabrice Collin said in an email to CTV, the union is not recommending the offer be accepted or rejected. They are presenting it for consideration. As such, Collin says the picket lines will remain in place. The university saying a release today, they remain hopeful staff will return and that classes could resume as early as next week. Collin says the offer they received was presented as a final take it or leave it offer. The strike is now in its third week. It's time now for our first check on weather. Let's bring in CTV's Rick Wyman. And Rick, I was glancing at the weather earlier today, and I'm not sure if my eyes are deceiving me, but I think I was seeing some sunshine in the forecast. Tell us, is it true?
By Saturday, it'll be sunny and cold across the Northeast. We've been talking about this, but there's a prelude to that coming up by tomorrow evening. Let's check out our systems map first, brought to you by, of course, CAA, and now our map courtesy of Environment Canada. That system moving in, a few centimeters of snow tonight, overnight, and during the day. Now there's going to be a big change in terms of wind chill as the temperature drops across the Northeast by midday into late afternoon. Wind chill will come into effect, and we'll talk about that and more a little bit later on in the 7-day forecast. Our current temperatures, Amanda, coming up just minutes away.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for that, Rick. Still to come on CTV News at 6, a multi-million-dollar boost for water infrastructure in the Nipissing district. But first, here's a live look of Worthington Street in North Bay. Stay with us, there's more to come.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
The Timmins Police Service is undergoing a period of modernization. Its board recently met with Timmins City Council to give an overview of some of the work that needs to be done. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
Section. There's investment in there.
The Timmins Police Service Board recently gave notice to Timmins City Council that some expensive upgrades are required to modernize how it operates.
We are just getting caught up. Computers and cars have been there for years. We only got ours in last year. We have had other tools, the automated license plate readers. I've been using these tools and cars in other parts of this country for 20 years for in the case of computers, and at least 5 to 10 years for some of the other technology. So it's going to cost us money to get there, but that's exactly what this was about.
Lecky also says the building itself requires a new heating and ventilation system. The cell blocks are getting renovated and even pistols are outdated.
We are one of the few police services still using the pistols that we have. Everybody else has already transitioned on to the more modern tools that they need.
Timmins Mayor Michelle Boileau says it was important that council be aware of some of these pressures and to keep them in mind when it has future budget deliberations.
So that we know what we need to advocate for, individually as a community, but also collectively as municipalities. And so it just helps kind of build on the foundation of our understanding of, when we hear about the rising cost of policing and the pressure on municipalities, it allows us to be able to speak to it better, and especially when residents are asking us the questions, because, they do ask, what am I getting for my dollar in terms of police services? And it's important that we be able to provide a sound answer to that.
When it comes to crime trends, the chief says break-in enters are down 45% over the last 3 years, but shoplifting incidents and calls involving guns are increasing. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
Timmins Police and the local snowmobile club Trail Patrol teamed up for a nighttime ride last night. It wasn't a joy ride, though. Officers were conducting compliance checks. They stopped 65 snowmobilers out on the trails, issuing 3 provincial offense notices, and 10 riders were without proper trail permits. Police are reminding everyone enjoying the winter trails they must have a valid driver's license, snowmobile registration, and proof of insurance, along with a valid Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs trail permit affixed to your snow machine. Massive provincial funding is coming to upgrade, improve, and build new critical water infrastructure in the Nipissing district. CTV's Eric Tashner tells us more.
Each day, the wastewater treatment plant in North Bay takes in between 20 and 30,000 cubic meters of urban wastewater.
Continue to service all of our citizens.
Mayor Peter Chirico remembers in 2019 and 2024, the plant was inches away from flooding, which would have shut down the sewer system in the city.
And almost 17,000 residential and business customers would be affected. There would be no flushing that toilet, period. And that would create, obviously, some pollution into the lake.
The plant discharges the processed final product into Lake Nipissing. Before leaving the plant, the water is chlorinated in order to protect fish spawning grounds and ensure the safety of the beaches.
This is critical funding for these municipalities to be able to do the work.
$17 million of provincial money will flow in through the health and safety water stream to help municipalities expand or rehabilitate aging water, wastewater, stormwater, flood, and erosion infrastructure. There are 3 municipalities receiving money. Nipissing Township will receive just less than $1 million, while the city of North Bay will receive close to $11.6 million to flood-proof the facility for the next century.
There was more than a foot of sludge in this room on the floor because one of the pumps had failed and was spewing that sludge in this.
Mattawa's share, around $4.3 million, will go towards building a reservoir and other waterworks.
I feel like I won the lottery, you know, and Mattawa should feel that way too.
The infrastructure will allow for a new subdivision with 100 building lots that can accommodate between 200 and 300 new housing units to be completed in the next decade.
It's 35% expansion of our town, so that the actual area itself is 1/3 of our land mass.
The government is using up to $875 million to financially assist 120 projects across Ontario. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Today in Sudbury, 6 community partners came together to announce the official opening of the Heart Hub on Elm Street. The provincially funded hub will offer a number of services under one roof to help people living with addiction and mental health challenges. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
6 community partners gather to outline who they are and what the Downtown Heart Hub will offer.
A program rollout from the province of Ontario, and the 6 partners, the City of Greater Sudbury, HSN, Shkok-McQuay Health Centre, Monarch Recovery, CMHA and NISA have been working for several months to put to action the rollout.
We all see and work with the same population, and often that's done in isolation. What the Heart Hub initiative has facilitated is strengthening the partnerships.
The Heart Hub is funded by the province and facilitated by community partners.
It's all about reducing the barriers for these individuals, right? And so this Heart Hub, that's what it's about. Going to one spot where they can find those services that they need to navigate the system.
Another aspect of the hub is some of the community partners sharing the case management of supportive housing units.
What we've learned is that once someone is stable in their own home, a lot of other things fall into place. They find their way in recovery.
This Shkok-McQuay Health Centre van, with its outreach team, will help connect vulnerable people living with addictions and mental health challenges to the services offered at the Downtown Heart Hub.
The Heart Hub is not a drop-in center. The Heart Hub has been created to house all the partners in one space to work together collaboratively to identify a larger capacity of individuals in need.
Local partners say the Heart Hub's commitment is to dignity, compassion, and possibility. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
The Indigenous Land Symposium is almost over at Science North, and CTV's Madison Maria explains the global impact it has had so far.
Delegates from Australia and New Zealand have landed in Canada to partake in the symposium, expanding the community reach, sharing cultures and stories.
It's good when everybody can come together and share and just meet other like-minded people. We are on the same path, we do have the same mindset, we do have the same heart and the soul and the spirit. So it's a beautiful thing to see and actually be a part of.
Community representatives shared conversations around governance, hoping to inspire one another.
Our Indigenous voice is real at home, and there are a few little things politically, but if we just focus on the positive things and we make sure that everything is inclusive and our voice is the strongest and we are the decision makers where it comes to our land.
Being able to hear stories of success beyond the hardships over here just gives us more hope as well, just to keep pushing, and we will find a way and we'll walk together.
Land stewardship was also a topic of interest for many attendees.
I think is a thread through the symposium is that Indigenous communities are connected around the world, and a lot of shared values and shared practices around forest stewardship and water management and taking care of the land.
The best way to start healing our Mother Earth is to get the traditional custodians, wherever they are, all over the world, to go back and care for the space that they were, originally ancestors, their bloodline is through, to care for that. That's how we're going to start healing. And we need to start doing that all together and walking the journey together as First Nations people of the world.
Fox said they're hoping to expand even more in the future to hear stories from more Indigenous communities across the globe at the symposium in Ottawa next year. Madison Marier, CTV News, Sudbury.
How much snow is too much snow? Well, I'm about to answer that question. Check out this wall of snow. This photo comes from Sault Ste. Marie, courtesy of Shane Bonin, who you see there in the photo here, and Kathy Robillard. This snowbank is in front of their neighbor's 3-story home. They estimate the wall is about 10 to 12 feet high. Back now for a check on the current conditions with Rick. And Rick, we saw a bit of snow out there today, but definitely not as much as that, thank goodness.
Well, Amanda, we had a picture from Rose Russo just last week from Sault Ste. Marie, and she sent in a pic that was like 7 or 8 feet, so it just never ends in the Soo. It's just one of those winters. So we've got more snow in terms of precipitation for this evening, overnight, and into tomorrow. Then a big change in terms of the temperature. Let's check out some of those current temperatures this hour, beginning in Moosonee. It's going to get cold tonight, -10 right now, but it will get cold. Some snow in the forecast there. Cochrane -11, Timmins -7, and Kapuskasing -5. Big change in the temperatures from last night. Chapleau -6, Wawa -5, and Sault Ste. Marie at -4. In Parry Sound, -5, mainly cloudy, -7 in North Bay. Temiskaming Shores -7, and Kirkland Lake at -8. Sudbury Nickel Belt -6 this hour, overcast skies. Espanola -5, more of the same in Elliott Lake and Gore Bay, some light snow at -4. So again, we'll talk about those changes, Amanda, coming up very shortly, the 7-day forecast. And I'll also have the pick of the day, or at least 2 picks of the day for this evening's broadcast. So back to you.
Double the fun. I like that, Rick. Thanks for that. Next on CTV News at 6. Multiple Toronto police officers face charges for crime and corruption, and the federal government announces the return of EV rebates. Welcome back. Police in Ontario's York region have charged 7 Toronto police officers and 1 retired Toronto Police Service officer after a 7-month investigation into organized crime and corruption.
It is alleged that these officers have demonstrated varying degrees of criminality and associations to criminal networks. The allegations of criminal corruption include bribery, obstruction of justice, drug trafficking, theft of personal property, breach of trust, and the unauthorized access and distribution of confidential information. We are alleging that some police officers who were collecting personal and private information unlawfully and distributing it to members of organized crime, which ultimately resulted in serious harm in our communities.
The investigation began in June of 2025 after police uncovered a conspiracy to murder an Ontario corrections officer at a home in York region. It's alleged a Toronto police officer leaked information about the potential shooting victim to a key figure in a criminal network operating in the Greater Toronto area. The Prime Minister has unveiled a new national auto strategy. It includes an end to the electric vehicle mandate, but the return of EV rebates. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the details.
A national auto strategy for the next generation. Today, the government unveiled a 5-pillar and multi-billion-dollar plan to protect jobs and reward companies making vehicles in Canada.
The future of the auto industry is increasingly electric and connected. And so to remain competitive and to realize our potential, we must develop the entire value chain for next-generation vehicles.
To help Canadians afford them, starting February 16th, consumers who purchase electric vehicles will be eligible for a new rebate. The government is offering purchase or lease incentives of up to $5,000 for fully electric vehicles and up to $2,500 for plug-in hybrid models. There will be no price cap on Canadian-made cars, and only models coming from countries Canada has a free trade deal with will qualify if they cost less than $50,000. That means the rebate won't apply to Chinese EVs.
Today's announcement will directly support workers here in Ontario and across Canada.
Carney is also replacing the contentious EV sales mandate with new emission standards for future models, easing some of the pressure automakers are under.
This puts us on a path to greater electrification while giving industry the flexibility it needs during a very difficult time for the economy and for the sector.
Hopefully we can get to a point where we continue to be tariff-free.
And car dealers say they're ready to stock up.
It's certainly encouraging that we'll be able to pass on some savings directly to the consumer, especially in a time of higher prices on really everything.
Beyond affordability, this country's lacking EV infrastructure remains a barrier to Canadians pulling the plug on gas-powered vehicles. And so today, Carney also promised $1.5 billion to build up this country's roadside charging network. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
There's more news ahead, but first, here's Rick with your full weather forecast.
You should be talking to your partner there, Amanda, about getting an electric vehicle. You're going to get a pretty good deal down the road. Hey,
I
why
probably
not?
should.
Hey, looks pretty good. Forecast radar just for you, Amanda, this weekend coming up. We've got some colder temperatures coming in, some snow tonight, overnight, and of course creeping into the weekend, but a big change comes Saturday. Let's check out what's going to happen across the Northeast. Get a bit of a break. We've got some sunshine on Saturday, but cold. Then it will warm up again. Overnight, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, Greater Sudbury, 2 centimeters in the Sault, Timmins 2, Timiskaming Shores 2, and North Bay all 2 centimeters. Of course, we've got some wind chill to take into account by tomorrow morning. Minus 22, 2 to 4 centimeters of Moosonee, 2 to 4 in Kapuskasing-Hearst, Wawa 2 to 4, Gore Bay 2 to 4, and Parry Sound 2 centimeters of snow. Here is the report card for the next couple of days. Sudbury Nickel Belt, 2 centimeters for tomorrow. Wind chill minus 15 when you wake up. Sunny and cold on Saturday, minus 15. Then it starts to warm up. Chance of flurries Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Take a look at the temperatures. Minus 14 on Sunday, your expected high. Warming up to minus 4 by next Wednesday. In Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, 2 to 4 centimeters tomorrow. Wind chill at minus 14 tomorrow morning. Minus 14 Saturday. Again, you'll go from minus 23 to minus 11, minus 5. Again, as it warms up by the beginning of the week. Take a look. Chance of flurries Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You'll get a high of minus 1 come Tuesday of next week. Then there's Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, 2 to 4 centimeters. Wind chill at minus 17 when you wake up tomorrow morning. Big change in temperature, as I've been saying. Take a look at the overnight low for tomorrow night in Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing. Minus 24, then minus 30 on Saturday after a day of sunshine and a high of minus 18. Minus 12 on the warm-up Sunday, minus 7 Monday, minus 6 on Tuesday with the cloud cover. So change, constant change in the forecast over the course of the next few days. Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, 2 to 4 centimeters tomorrow. Wind chill minus 15 when you wake up. 2 days of sunshine. Saturday, Sunday, minus 18 and minus 17. Chance of flurries on the warm-up Monday. Tuesday, minus 6, cloud covered. Another minus 6 day Wednesday with the chance of flurries. So it'll be warm. It'll be cold, then it starts to warm up again. But that, again, is pretty well indicative of February weather. North Bay, West Nipissing, 2 to 4 centimeters for tomorrow. Wind chill minus 14 when you wake up. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine. Minus 16, minus 15. Chance of flurries on Monday. Minus 4 Tuesday is nice. Minus 4 Wednesday, even better with a slight chance of flurries. How about the picks of the day? We've got 2 today. Courtesy of Leanna. She sent this in a couple of times. She really wanted to show these pics. They look nice. Frosty Monday in Massey. That's the way it was just a couple of days ago. So Leanna, appreciate the pics. Keep up the good work. Perhaps someone else's pictures could be on tomorrow night to kick off the weekend. Hey, still to come. The expense of Valentine's Day is getting a little bit too much for some people. Dinner and a movie are off the table this year for some. We'll have that story coming up a little bit later on after the break.
Most people who need a mortgage or a loan will go to a bank, but if they have bad credit, they may seek the services of a private lender. Investors who loan out their money for private loans can charge higher interest rates, but it also comes with added risk. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
It was a relief. It was financial freedom, I thought.
Deanna Johnson of Whitby is a single parent with 3 boys. She has a full-time job and works part-time to pay the bills. That's why she was interested when she heard she could earn income providing loans.
I found out about private lending through social media, Instagram Reels, how to get like a second income to work for you.
Johnson went to her bank and took out a line of credit for $150,000. She found a company to loan out the funds and says the first year went great. She received interest payments of $3,000 each month.
It was a financial relief, some wiggle room.
But Johnson says last year the payments started to be late and then they stopped completely. In June, she asked for her funds to be returned. She's been trying to get her money back for the past 7 months without success.
I would like my money back, my $150,000.
Johnson gave the funds to Deneen Griffith of Unifocus Investments. When CTV News contacted Griffith, she said, "We are currently conducting a full internal review with the third-party company involved. Our priority is protecting our clients and ensuring all appropriate steps are taken."
Just like anything in the world, the higher the interest rate you're being offered, the bigger the risk.
Mark Ting is a financial expert who says people who need private loans have usually been turned down by banks and other traditional lenders. He says that makes it risky, and anyone considering private lending should be extremely cautious.
I would not be comfortable doing that myself, and I probably wouldn't be recommending anybody doing that unless they're extremely wealthy on their own and they could afford to lose that $150,000.
Johnson says she is now stressed and frustrated and worries the $150,000 she lent out could be gone for good.
I feel like I'm back to square one where I started, and it's really will impact my family.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Some shoppers have been increasingly using AI to find deals at grocery stores, but there are potential risks. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth has more on what to look out for.
For some savvy shoppers, when they see what looks like a bargain for groceries, their cautious attitude is buyer beware.
But I do not trust it.
Sylvain Charlebois says that's a smart approach, especially at a time when targeted ads on social media produced by AI are offering potentially misleading ads that promote lower prices for groceries.
They'll build algorithms that they'll use to service you, to know you, and to set proper prices depending of your buying behavior.
For example, if a shopper frequently buys eggs, they may see online prices promoting what looks like a good deal, but is not, and that could lead to paying more at the register.
When you're connecting pricing with consumers and using AI to increase profits and margins, I think there's a really wide line there.
There is an AI upside. Customers can compare prices at other stores while they shop.
It puts a lot of power directly in their hands.
So they can know for sure they're getting a fair shake.
I find I don't know if I'm getting the true thing or not.
Technology analyst Carmi Levy says shoppers can even consult with a virtual online AI agent before they make a purchase.
Who else is selling it in their area? For how much? What have the trends looked like?
Those trends through AI could allow consumers to make more informed, precise buying decisions to help them save more money. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News.
A new study looking at Ontario residents finds rates of psychosis are increasing in recent generations. CTV's Pauline Chan has the details and their implications.
The study looked at more than 12 million people born in Ontario between 1960 and 2009, of whom 152,587 were diagnosed with a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia.
Auditory or visual hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that aren't there. People can also have intense paranoia, so they might think that people are out to get them.
The findings?
More recent birth cohorts seem to be experiencing an earlier age of diagnosis of psychosis and schizophrenia, and actually cumulatively more of it.
And Dr. Daniel Myron says the increase is striking.
What proportion of the generation or the birth cohort has been diagnosed with schizophrenia by age 30? And that's up almost 40%.
Some of the reasons behind this? Myron says the age of birth parents is rising, and that's known to be an increased risk factor for psychosis.
There's been a large rise in opioids and synthetic stimulants like methamphetamines and cannabis and the potency of cannabis, and more recently, interest in hallucinogens.
And increasing urban populations.
People living in more urban centers or more dense places, and for reasons that are not fully understood, seem to have a higher rate of psychotic disorders.
Psychotic disorders are relatively rare, affecting about 2% of the population, but the impact is wide-reaching.
People who have a chronic psychotic disorder have a reduced life expectancy. They have profound implications for their social interactions, for their work.
And patients require frequent, regular contact with the healthcare system.
And, that's compounded on a mental health system in Canada that generally is, under-resourced.
The good thing, says Myron, is that early diagnosis is improving, and in Ontario, the growth of early intervention programs for psychosis has led to some 50 clinics in the province, adding that further research is needed. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Still ahead on CTV News at 6. Some setbacks in the Olympics already. Details to come.
Clothing provided by Laura, Melanie Lynn.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and as anyone dating knows, the classic dinner and movie date doesn't cost what it used to. Some singles say taking out that special someone is off the table because it's simply too expensive. CTV's Hafsa Arif has that story.
Dinner and a movie might sound romantic, but it adds up fast, which is why it may be no surprise 30% of Canadians say they're dating less because of the cost, and 29% say they've shifted to low or no cost dates instead.
I'm not exactly loaded, so I'd like to keep it on the cheaper side and prioritize something where you can actually talk and get to know the person.
And it's not just where people are dating.
And what we found was an increase in values around finances when dating, financial transparency, as well as shared financial goals, which are all really important, especially when you're looking for a long-term partner.
A generation coming of age during high rent, high interest rates, and a tight job market. Instead of fancy dinners, many are choosing more affordable ways to connect.
Definitely lunch date. It's casual and you get to know them easier. It's not as intimate as dinner.
In our ramped up consumer economy and work conditions, it's very hard to do that.
Trust is important too. It takes a long time to build, and it's important to keep up. And your finances and being open and honest and communicating are really important.
For both long-term relationships and finances. Hafsa Arif, CTV News.
To the OHL, where the Sault Greyhounds took a big bite out of the Saginaw Spirit last night.
Now Klepov cuts across the ice. Klepov over the top, has room, takes a shot. Oh, what a glove save by George.
That was one of 37 saves by Hounds backstop Carter George on his way to a shutout. The Greyhounds took down the Saginaw Spirit 6-0. On deck tonight, the North Bay Battalion play host to the Windsor Spitfires. Puck drop is 7 p.m. In the NOJAHL, just one game set for tonight. The Powassan Voodoos will be looking to clinch their playoff spot with 3 teams already set for March. They'll be in Sudbury tonight to take on the Cubs. Game time is 7:10 p.m. Setbacks already for some members of Team Canada, gearing up to chase gold at the Winter Olympics in Milan. Today's women's hockey game was postponed, and some events will go ahead without star athletes. CTV's Heather Butts is in Milan with 1 day to go until the opening ceremony.
An alarming image of Mark McMorris following a crash yesterday in training. The 32-year-old three-time Olympic medalist confirming he hit his head and will not compete in the big air competition. In a statement, McMorris said, "Fortunately, things are looking good for slopestyle, so I'm staying positive and shifting my focus there." Snowboarder Tess Critchlow has already had to withdraw due to injury, and Canada has had to swap out athletes in men's hockey and figure skating in the team event because of injury.
For those who've been injured and unable to compete, I feel for them first and foremost, and therefore give them as much support to see if they can compete in the case of those where it's questionable.
Facing these early obstacles, there's also questions over how the Olympic team is preparing to handle competing against the Americans at a time of heightened tensions between the countries.
The rivalry with the United States is one that's decades and decades old in sport, and yet I think there's a little bit more riding on it.
That rivalry most anticipated on the ice, where it will be a monumental year for hockey, marking the return of NHL players in the men's tournament for the first time since 2014. Combine that with the first winter game since the Professional Women's Hockey League launched, putting a spotlight on an extraordinary depth of international talent.
This is an immensely talented team, and they're in their final preparations. And very soon, we will see them walking into opening ceremonies to show the world just what Canadian excellence looks like.
While Team Canada battles injuries, Finland is dealing with illness. The two countries were supposed to face off today in women's hockey, but the game was postponed as the Finns battle the norovirus. Team Canada's first game will now be against Switzerland on Saturday. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan.
Movie news now with dueling First Lady documentaries and a homeless woman fighting the system. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Report.
Here we go again.
Melania, about the current First Lady in the lead up to last year's inauguration, appears to have boosted viewership of a film about a predecessor, as the new documentary made the box office top 5 last weekend, Becoming, the 2020 Netflix doc about Michelle Obama, based on her best-selling memoir, had its viewership rise more than 13,000%, according to data provider Luminate.
Hello? Yes, I'd like to report a stolen car, please. My 91 Camry! We found your blue Toyota Camry. I'm Amanda, you have my car.
$273.
I have to pay that to get my stolen car back?
Oscar nominee Rose Byrne stars in Tow as a woman living in her car until it's stolen, and she's thrown into a legal battle against a broken system. Dominic Sessa, Demi Lovato, Corbin Burnson, and Oscar winners Ariana DeBose and Octavia Spencer co-star. Tow, based on a true story, opens in theaters March 20th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Another big tech company reported earnings today. Amazon released results after the end of the trading day. BNN Bloomberg's Mirella Fernandez has more on.
Once again, it is the amount of money being spent on building out AI capacity that is eye-popping. Analysts had estimated Amazon would spend about $145 billion this year on things like data centers, chips, and other equipment. But the company says it will be closer to $200 billion. Amazon says it expects strong return on these investments in the long term, but investors still have concerns. Amazon stock started dropping in after-hours trading. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73.02. West Texas Intermediate down $1.85 to 63.29. Western Canadian Select is up over $1.50 to 49.48. And the TSX sank today, dropping another 576 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Mirella Fernandez.
Here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down today, $182.19, closing the day at $47.8271 US an ounce. Silver down $15.49. Copper dropped 21 cents and nickel fell 17 cents, ending at $7.56 US a pound. And Rick is back now for one last look at the weather. And Rick, I feel like I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, we've got a change in temperature tomorrow, Amanda, but first let's talk about the snow. A couple of centimeters in Sudbury tomorrow, 2 to 4 in Timmins and Sault Ste. Marie, periods of snow anywhere from 2 to 4 as well. And let's move on over to North Bay, 2 to 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters in Parry Sound and Temiskaming Shores at 2 to 4 centimeters. Then the temperature will drop. Then we'll have the wind chill by late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. And of course, Saturday will be sunny but cold. So again, some colder weather and some precipitation in the forecast for tomorrow. Amanda.
Thanks for that, Rick. Finally for us tonight, an unlikely movie villain has become the face of Lunar New Year celebrations in China.
This is Crab and Goyle, and I'm Malfoy. Draco Malfoy.
Images of Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter franchise keep popping up ahead of the Year of the Horse. Now, reportedly, this is because the Mandarin translation of his surname, Malfoy, roughly sounds like the words for horse and fortune. Red posters with well-wishing messages are typical decorations for the annual celebration, but this year, many feature the grin of the infamous Hogwarts bully played by Tom Felton. Interesting stuff. And that takes us to the end of our newscast tonight. Thanks for watching. Angela Gemmell will be in for our 11:30 show. Make sure you tune in. Have a good night.